context. There was no answer. Jonna was at a floral convention in Anaheim, learning about the latest in plastic stems, and Chrissy was visiting her parents in Fresno to escape the explorer. Jack was alone, locked out, and starting to attract the attention of the neighbors who were wondering why a giant orange sun was screaming in the hallway. He trudged downstairs to the Roper's apartment, his pride in tatters. Stanley opened the door, wearing a hairnet and holding a newspaper. "What do you want, Tripper? And why are you dressed like a beach ball that's been through a blender?" "I dropped my keys, Mr. Roper, down the shaft. Can I borrow your spare? Just for 5 minutes?" Stanley smirked, enjoying the moment far too much. "The spare is in the basement, in the safe. And I forgot the combination 3 years ago. I think it's the year of the Great Depression, but I can't be sure." "Stanley," Helen's voice called from the kitchen. "Give the boy the key. It's in the kitchen drawer, right next to the coupons." Stanley groaned, but fetched the key. "You kids are a menace. One day you're gonna lose your heads, and I'll have to pay the city a disposal fee for the mess." As Jack headed back up, he realized he had another problem, a much bigger one. The oven was on. He had been slow cooking a pot roast for a welcome home dinner for the girls. The roast! Jack panicked. He ran up the stairs, but the key wouldn't turn. Stanley had given him the key to the boiler room by mistake. "Roper!" Jack screamed, running back down the stairs. "This is the wrong key. My meat is burning." By the time he got the right key and burst into apartment 201, the smell of burnt meat was pervasive and thick. The pot roast was a blackened, smoking lump of coal that looked more like a meteorite than a dinner. "My dinner," Jack whispered, looking at the smoke-filled kitchen. "My beautiful, slow-cooked failure." When Jonna and Chrissy returned later that evening, they found Jack sitting on the balcony, staring at the sunset with a haunted look in his eyes. "What's that smell? Did a tire fire happen in here?" Jonna asked, waving her hand in front of her nose. "The smell of failure," Jack replied without turning around. "And carbonized beef is my new signature scent." Chrissy walked over and hugged him, her kindness always shining through. "Don't worry, Jack. We brought back some leftover sandwiches from Fresno. They have extra mayo and no burnt parts." Extra mayo, Jack smiled weakly, the secret ingredient to a happy home, and to forgetting I ever tried to cook a roast. Chapter 12. The Great Mix-Up. The following Tuesday began with a misdirected piece of mail that would change their social standing for exactly 4 hours. A lavish, gold-embossed invitation addressed to the occupant of 201 arrived, inviting them to a high society masquerade ball at the local country club. A masquerade. Chrissy squealed, holding the card as if it were made of solid gold. "We can be anyone. I've always wanted to be a princess from a small European country with a lot of mountains." "Or we could be realistic," Jonna said, taking the card and looking at the fine print. It says there's a $500 entry fee per person. We couldn't even afford the masks, let alone the tickets. But Jack, ever the optimist and the schemer, had a plan. One of his classmates at the Culinary Institute was the son of a club member. If I can get us in through the service entrance, I can work the kitchen while you mingle. We'll get the fancy food and the atmosphere for free. It's a win-win. And what about the costumes? We can't go in our street clothes, Jean asked. Improvise, Jack cried. Johnny, you're a florist be a dryad, a spirit of the woods. Chrissy, you're a vision in blonde. We'll make you a starlet, and I'll be the mysterious masked chef of the Orient. The night of the ball was a comedy of errors from the start. Jack, dressed in a borrowed tuxedo that was to sizes too small and made him walk like a penguin, spent half the night hiding under a buffet table when Monsieur Pierre made a surprise appearance as a guest judge for the appetizers. Meanwhile, Jeanne and Chrissy, wearing gowns made from floral shop remnants, old curtains, and a lot of safety pins, were being wooed by a pair of eccentric millionaires who were convinced they were European royalty traveling incognito. Your accent is so unique, Princess Christina, one of the men said to Chrissy, leaning in. Oh, thank you, Chrissy replied, trying to sound regal while her curtain sleeve kept getting caught in her drink. It's a Fresno French dialect, very rare, very exclusive. The night ended abruptly when Jack, attempting to serve a flambed cherry dish to impress a cute waitress, accidentally set a decorative ice sculpture on fire. The resulting chaos, melting ice, screaming socialites, and a very wet Monsieur Pierre led to a hasty retreat through the kitchen vents. Back at the apartment, drenched, smelling like burnt sugar, and missing several safety pins, they sat on the floor and laughed until they cried. Well, Jeanne sighed, peeling a piece of fake ivy from her hair. At least we didn't have to pay the $500. That's a savings of $1,500. And I managed to snag a whole tray of lobster thermidor during the evacuation, Jack said, pulling a greasy napkin from his pocket with a triumphant grin. Who's hungry for some high society leftovers? Chapter 13, The Yoga Incident. Misunderstandings reached a new peak when Chrissy decided she needed to find her inner center and enrolled in a transcendental meditation and yoga class. Her instructor, a man who called himself the Great Shanty, but whose real name was almost certainly Gary from Burbank, convinced Chrissy that their apartment was a vortex of negative energy and bad vibes. He says we need to cleanse the space. Jack, it's for our health, Chrissy insisted, arranging crystals and strange-smelling rocks on the coffee table. No loud noises, no meat, and definitely no tripperisms for 48 hours. No tripperisms, Jack asked, deeply offended. My isms are what give this place its character. They're iconic. The cleansing